Why, anybody can have a brain. That's a very mediocre commodity. Every pusillanimous creature that crawls on the earth or slinks through slimy seas has a brain. Back where I come from, we have universities, seats of great learning, where men go to become great thinkers. And when they come out, they think deep thoughts, and with no more brains than you have. But they have one thing you haven't got. The Nice Guys on Business podcast. Need an education on how to grow your business? The Nice Guys are here to help. Learn about great customer service, networking, and how just being nice can help you prosper. Now, here are your hosts, Doug Sandler and Strickland Bonner.
So, Doug, what you're trying to say is the text that you sent me about technology and a whole list of others. Tell me that again. What did you send me?
Yeah. All the 2016 travel, Airbnb, Uber, Vamoose, and 100% conference social media promo. Yeah, that's in addition to the 1,800 items I sent you in my email.
And the 3 nice girls that we have on our 3 upcoming podcasts.
There's 4, Strick. We have a 4th. I'm sorry.
So we're going to go back to 3 episodes a week from us, but they're all going to be an hour and a half long. Is that what you're trying to say, Doug?
No. Look, everybody. Nice Guy community. Look at the time of this. It is definitely under 40 minutes. I promise you, it will be under 40 minutes.
He's saying that now as we are beginning the podcast, which I guess we are now beginning the podcast. Hey, Nice Guy community. Welcome back. My name is Strickland Bonner. That's Doug Sandler on the other side of the mic. And we better talk really quick if we have any hopes of getting even a small portion of all of the things Doug wants to talk about in.
Hell, we will get them all done. We're going to get them all done. We're going to be very efficient about it.
We have no lack of topics ever.
Strick, I always tell you, just save the conversation for the podcast. And it's true, but we still speak more than in these last 2 years, we speak more than we've ever spoken in our entire life.
True.
And we've known each other for a long time.
Long damn time. That is true.
So let's jump into the promise statement really quick. Let's talk a little bit about what I've been doing in the last couple of weeks. Let's get Dr. Karin on the phone to talk about some cool stuff about relationship building and some things that I think will be very, very topical. And then we'll be 6 hours into the episode.
You said less than 40 minutes. You better get jumping.
All right. So the Nice Guy promise statement. Nice Guy community, our goal is to provide the most entertaining podcast experience ever. Period. Hold us to that standard. That's good. The way to hold us, right, Stick? What's your name?
The way to hold us.
I'm so excited about all the things that we have coming up. Reach out to us on Twitter at DJ Doug is my handle. That guy over there, Strick, he's at Nice Guy on Biz with a Z. Add to the conversation and join our Facebook community. That's called the Nice Guys community. The link is in the show notes, but in case you don't know how to touch your phone properly, it is niceshortcut.com.
Okay, now before we get deep into the show too, iTunes, man.
Yeah.
Right now, we know that you guys listen to us on Overcast, and we love you, and we love Overcast, but we've got to get noticed on iTunes. So please, everybody out there, if you could do us a favor this week, subscribe on iTunes also. We don't even care if you listen on iTunes. Just subscribe and download something, because we know you got Apple products because you listen on Overcast.
That is so true. And we don't necessarily want you to even just make the move over to iTunes, but anybody that you talk to, just let them know. Overcast is doing really well, but let them know iTunes is the way to go. We, the Nice Guy community, the Nice Guys on Business podcast, you guys have been doing so great for us. We exceeded 150,000 downloads in the month of September before we even hit the halfway point of the month. This is crazy. When I tell people what we're doing just with one platform, one channel, that being Overcast, they don't even understand it. I went to a conference in New York, and I was talking to another guy, I won't mention his name, that has a podcast, and he looked at me and he's like, 3% of your downloads are coming from iTunes, and you have 150,000 downloads. Can you imagine the current that we will be swimming in if we're actually able to get some traction in iTunes, Strick?
Yeah, I mean, right now we are averaging 15 to 1,800 downloads per episode, and 95% of them are from Overcast. Crazy.
Okay, so we need to really we're gonna turn the screws a little bit this week. We need iTunes, please, people, please.
iTunes is really important to us. We need to get up on the list. We need to get noticed. We appreciate it. We are not telling you not to listen to Overcast because we appreciate Overcast so much, but we just want to get to a bigger platform. So that's all we're going to say, at least today. We're going to tell you again tomorrow and the next day too, though. Mm-hmm. So we got to get to topics, right?
Yeah, we've got to get there.
So what's the first one we're talking about? Uber
Let me just spend a moment telling you what I was going through in this past week, and then I took a step back and said, "Holy shit! I cannot believe this form of technology. All of these forms, these different avenues of technology, were not even available to us just a handful of years ago." I went to a program called the C-Suite program, the C-Suite Book Club Conference up in New York, where Jeffrey Hazlett, who was a guest on the show probably about 6 months or so ago, he invited me to come to this conference to do a book signing. So there was 11 of us authors. It was me and 10 other authors, and he brought in like 20 speakers. And about 400 people showed up, and it was all done through social media promotion, really nothing traditional in the way of doing this. So I go up to New York, and I spent 2 days up in New York. I was just going through the internet, looking through hotels.com, which is, again, just a source that I've never even used before, the last couple of years. But I found out that the hotels were just ridiculously expensive. Something's going on at the UN this week, and it was just very expensive to get a hotel room there. I don't know why that one thing has to do with anything with the other. Anyway, so I then thought about, let me go on Airbnb. Airbnb. Strick, when did Airbnb come to popularity? Any idea?
It's only become popular in the last 2 or 3 years.
So I get on Airbnb and I found an apartment or a flat in New York. It was a studio. It was quite nice. I mean, yeah, it was 4 floors up, but I got all my exercise. It was good. But on Airbnb, I hopped on there. I found a guy that has good reviews. I rented his apartment for 2 nights, and it was great. And it was less than half price of what I spent if I would have gotten a room at the Marriott Marquis or the Edison or any number of big and small hotels. Even the small hotels were going for $350, $400.
No, New York City it's so ridiculously expensive. I mean, it's insane. And the rooms are so small too. I can't believe you got something cheap on Airbnb. That's really cool.
Yeah, for $200, $199. No 20% added hotel tax or anything.
Yeah.
So that was
or like
good
the
too.
resort fees.
No
they
resort
charge you in Vegas. What crap is
nothing
that?
like that. So when I get there, okay, if you were going to go to New York, how would you get there from Washington, D.C.?
I would either bus or I might do the train, only because I know that JFK, I've done the airport before there, and it's horrible, and it's not even.
Yeah.
I would an hour from downtown New York.
Right,
at the closest airport.
You're still a far way away if you fly in. So we're not going to fly. We're only 4 hours away. So I thought, okay, I'm going to take the train. I checked out the train. It was $150 each way. It was going to cost me $300. Again, I think whatever conference or whatever was going on in New York was really killing it. So I said, all right, let me check out the buses. I'm not a real big fan of buses. I don't know. They just I just feel like very germy when I get on a bus. I don't know. But they have this service called Vamoose Gold.
Okay.
All right. So a traditional bus holds about 60 people, I think between 50 and 60 people for the big coach buses. Mm-hmm. The Vamoose Gold holds less than 30 people. Okay. It's one huge recliner on one side and 2 on the other. Mm-hmm. So it's 3 across rather than 4 or 6 across.
Right.
It was the best experience ever.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I took the metro directly to the Vamoose station, got on my Vamoose Gold, Wi-Fi capable.
On the bus, right?
Yeah, on the bus. So I did that. I got all my stuff done. I even did a couple little meditation sessions on the bus too, while somebody else drove me door to door 4 hours, an hour longer than the train would have taken me. No big deal. It was amazing. So I get dropped off in New York. Then I'm thinking, I got to take a cab.
Right.
You know how expensive cabs are in New York City?
Oh, yeah.
And then, then you get this guy that's going to be a terror all the way around New York because he's flooring it, he's breaking it, he's flooring it, he's breaking it. Then by the time I get there, I've had 17 anxiety attacks later. So I hop on my phone and I pull up Uber. And I thought, I've never used Uber Pool before. Have you ever used Uber Pool?
No, I don't know how the pool is different from regular Uber.
Well, they have a bunch of different levels of Uber. So you can get like the black car service, which is the stretch, not the stretch, but
Uber
the big
X,
black SUV, right?
Yeah.
Or you get the regular Uber, or you get the Uber X, or you get this thing called Uber Pool, which is like a guy that picks you up in a Camry. That's a qualified Uber driver, but he's got 1, 2, or 3 other people in the car. So it's a total of 4 of you, including the driver in the car. I'm like, okay, so I'll share a ride with somebody. $8 to get a $25 cab fare away, $8 to get to my Airbnb room, to go to my conference that was promoted all on social media, taking the Vamoose bus to New York City through just all of these things just that were not available to me just a couple of years ago.
It is kind of crazy because you're right. None of those things 5 years ago were available at all. You're right.
It took the entire experience and the cost factor out of my head for being, I just didn't want to go to New York because I thought it was going to cost me $1,000. I bet it cost me half that to do all of the things that I did. And it was great. It was just great. I had a great time.
No, it's amazing. Uber and Lyft are really totally taking over. Las Vegas is the same kind of thing. Vegas, it's cabs. Some people rent cars, but really the way to get around is cabs. And they now have signs at most of the hotels that are like Uber pick up here, Lyft pick up here. And the cabbies are really hurting because of it, because that's what people want to do now. Nobody wants to deal with taxis anymore.
Have you have you taken Uber many times?
A couple times, not a lot, but I've had great experiences every time.
Yeah, I mean and the drivers, they were very nice. Mm-hmm. I really did not have any bad experience in this whole process of going through. I was a little fearful that things weren't going to go exactly the way I wanted them to go, mm-hmm. but everybody is looking for the positive reviews on Uber. They're very review driven. When's the last time you got into a cab and you said, "Hey, how are your reviews?"
No, that's the thing too, is that from what I understand from Uber, if you don't get good reviews as a driver, they cut you. I mean, basically they have so many people that have so many good reviews that that's what's really great about the social media and everything today. It's the accountability. Everybody is talking and people are listening. And you know what? It keeps everybody having their game up to snuff. You have to.
Yep, I agree.
I love it.
Let me see if I can get Dr. Karin on the phone. Hold on one second. Let's see if I can add her to this. It looks like she might be available. I'm not 100% sure, though. Let's see if she can. I love that little picture of her.
Hey, guys.
Dr. Karin.
Hi, I'm just grabbing my headphones. Sorry.
You're okay.
Okay. I was just like ready. I'm like, where are my headphones? So
we run a very professional shop here. There's no echo or anything right now.
There's definitely an echo right now.
Totally.
Okay.
And now, coming to the plate from Baltimore. Doug Sandler.
Here we go.
Hey,
hi, Dr. Karin.
Hello, how are you?
We are doing great. Dr. Karin, you have been such a great promoter of the show on every social media channel that I follow you on. You are right there.
Hey, I love what you guys are about, and I'm so happy to be part of the team.
Oh, it's great. It's great to have you on board. Hey, let me ask you a question before we get into the topic of relationship building and that kind of stuff. Help me for a second. Have you ever ridden in an Uber?
Yes.
What's your experience?
Fine, no problem.
Come on, that was like, why don't you be a little bit less committal than that, Dr. Karin? Share the experience. Do you remember the experience?
Yeah, I've driven in plenty. Yeah, in DC, where my stepdaughter lives, we've taken plenty, and in Vegas we used them, and yeah, I like them as a nice option.
Have you ever been on Uber Pool?
Yep, one time.
Yeah,
in Chicago. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I took Uber Pool when I was up in New York twice, and it was very, very easy. We were just talking about, before you got on the line, we were just talking about all the amazing forms of technology that weren't around like even a handful of years ago or less. Like Uber was not around, Airbnb wasn't around. The way that we're communicating through social media wasn't around, Skype wasn't around. All of these things, it's ridiculous how this world has changed.
Yeah, and Dr. Karin, I apologize. Yeah. Doug just got rid of his pager last week. So, this new stuff, it's kind of a big deal for him.
Hey, Strick, you had the pager longer than I did. You know that, right?
I plead the fifth on that.
Hey, you remember you used to have like, if you can't reach me here, call me on my pager. If you can't reach me on my pager, call me on my gramophone.
If you can't reach me there, send some smoke signals up.
Right. The pager just seems, but then some folks were hanging on to the pager a little bit longer than necessary. It's like, really? We've moved on from that. We really have, but it's funny. Yeah.
Oh, well, let's talk about pagers in terms of relationship building. How Hey, page me. I'm ready for you. Whenever you're ready to go out, just hit me on my digits. Remember when you used to have to turn you used to send numbers to whoever had your pager, and if they held it upside down, it would say like Shell Oil or something.
Right. Yeah, all that digital stuff. Yeah. Well, with the calculators too. Remember, you would do that kind of thing. You'd key in all these numbers, and then it would upside down. It would say something, and yeah.
So technology has completely changed the face of pretty much everything that we do in life. And so my question is, social media being all that it is, how do you build an effective a solid, a great relationship using, forms of social media that were just a couple of years ago. Do you think that we're all just kind of like feeling our way through this process now?
I mean, I do. I think that some people are better than others, though. I think you guys are doing a great job. I mean, you guys are out there. I mean, that's how we connected. And it's amazing the connections that you can make when you're staring at your laptop screen or your phone. And yet, what's amazing to me is that they can be actually pretty solid connections. Like, it's not just fluff often. I mean, sometimes, yeah, but sometimes it's really something that, you really do have something in common. You really do have that synergy.
Hey, Strick, when you I mean, you're not a big proponent of like social media, are you?
I like the connections that you can make, but I think some people go way out of hand with it, especially like Twitter and that kind of thing. It's just, I mean, again, it's about the connections. I understand, but I don't know. It's just not my thing. It's not like I'm old school, like I don't believe in it or don't want to do it. I just think there are better places to put your energy in general, but it's all about how much you do it, I guess.
And Dr. Karin, like when you're trying to build I think that the way that I try to approach people with social media is you kind of have to put your toe in first. It's not like you can jump in and just it's you got to make the phone call before you hold hands. You got to hold hands before you kiss. You got to go to the movies before you go to dinner. It's the whole process of, it's just a different way to kind of walk through this relationship, isn't it?
Well, there's a lot of things that come to mind right now. Like, for example, I think our generation we're the generation that's we're riding the fence on this. Like, we're dipping in, like you're saying, and we're like, okay, I can get it. But we're not the generation that's going to be like head in phone all the time. That's like the 25-year-olds. They are stuck in their phones. And actually, I have an intern who helps me with some of my social media stuff. And she said that her generation is actually looking at the teenagers and the tweeners and saying that they are actually even way more into their phones and their Instagram and their Snapchat. And so her generation is trying to like step away from it. But one of the things that I found with social media, like, for example, like I mentioned, I had an intern to help me kind of just like you were saying, like get my toe in. 'Cause I started my Twitter like 2009 or something. And I did nothing with it for about, I don't know, like 5 years. I was like, I just don't know what the point is because I don't think anyone cares what I have to say at this moment, in 140 characters or whatever. But what she has helped me just to kind of step in. But what I've found that's really been meaningful for me is I have to be authentic with it. So I can't let anyone tweet for me. And I know that some people, they've got the Hootsuite, they've got these platforms that allow them to kind of throw out Twitter messages at any random time of day. And I can't. I have to be present. So when I'm there, I'm active and I'm doing it. But like to like what Strick's talking about, like I'm there and I put in my time and then I step away from it and I don't think about it, and then I come back and I'm there. But I want it to be me and my voice and my philosophy. That's important to me.
Well, what's interesting about what you say is, and I'm a user of a platform called tweetjukebox.com. So, and I was using Hootsuite for a while, and I use them to kind of keep my voice out there, but I don't use them they can't respond. It's a one way, it's a broadcast. And I think that if you let just that be your tool, then you're very short-sighted. I think, and not that you are, but one is short-sighted if they use that as their, well, I'm on Twitter. Well, you're not on Twitter. You're broadcasting like a television right now. And so I always let that be my, way to maybe broadcast my brand. And then if anybody engages or when I want to engage, I hop on and do like what I did with you and what I did with Kendall from Mantra Munchies and what I did with Sunny, and Sean and everybody. All it requires, because the channel is so sterile, it just requires a little bit of effort to kind of start building the relationship.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's the same thing. And here's what I love about it is I think you and I would have had the same conversation we had on Twitter at like some cocktail party. If I happened to be in DC at like some mutual friend's house, right? We would have struck up that exact same conversation. It just happened that I'm here and you're there, and like we had to do it via Twitter.
And just so you know, I rarely leave my house, so I'm not going a cocktail party. No, I don't want to.
No, not going to happen.
No, not. The only time I'm at a cocktail party is if they hire me to be the guy playing the music. That's about it.
Strick, are you going to the cocktail party with me? Who's going?
Oh, I'm all over it. Yeah. I mean, I don't get invited to those kind of parties, but if I did, then I'd be there with you. Definitely.
So you got one.
Amazing how it really, the world is getting smaller, right? I mean, Dr. Karin, I don't even know what area you live in. Where are you? Where are you located?
So I'm in outside Chicago. I lived in the city for a long, long time and got married. And then I'm like in a south suburb.
Yeah. So there you go. And we've got Sunny, who's in Washington State, and
and Stacy in Detroit.
Dan Rice is in the UK. I mean, really, these are people that we never would have been able to connect with if it wasn't for social media.
Right. Right. And that's what I love about it. And that's what I'm really finally seeing once I started like moving from sticking my toe in, like Doug's saying, to really immersing myself. But to your point, also, I do it when it's fun and when it's something where I feel like I can authentically engage. And I try to encourage people because, like really a random like tweet from a woman, gosh, it was like 3.5 weeks ago. And she tweeted something like, it's so hard. All my friends are getting married and I just feel like I'm like left out. And my whole book is about encouraging singles. And so I just had this like authentic dialogue with her, just like, hey, hang in there. I know, because, it took me a long time to find the right one, but, don't give up. And then, 25 minutes later, she bought my book. Now, from a business standpoint, that was great, right? I used the tool and I sold the book, but it really, for me, it was more like, no, I have someone who I actually, in this weird way, I met her and I was exactly what she needed in that particular night.
Well, that's so much what business is about today. You're not selling a product. You're selling yourself. You may be selling a brand, but more often than not nowadays, especially with small business, your brand is you. And it's that connection that you have to make, not your product. And that's really what it's all about.
Totally agree. Yeah. Totally agree.
Yeah. And I love that. I mean, that's the piece of business that, business, I'm a psychologist and, I was in education, I was in academia for years and years and years. So business was always this scary thing. And then my husband's a businessman. So now I've been able to see a bit about business, but I feel like, like what you guys are saying, like the more modern notion of business is something I totally resonate with. It's just, my brand is me. I'm just going to do my thing. And whoever wants to like be a part of it and because I just want to encourage you and I just want you to have hope and I want you not to give up and I don't want you to settle for some mediocre, crappy marriage. So my brand is all about like, hey, if you're feeling this stuff, then I am the one to encourage you on it. And so let's partner together and let's all be happy and hopeful and positive.
It's always good when you have somebody that has initials or letters after their name reconfirming what you always thought was the reality.
Right. No, that's so true. That is so true. I mean, for all of us and for me as well. When when I'm looking to support my philosophy, I'm looking to other psychologists and anthropologists and sociologists who've done research in the field so that, what I'm thinking, because I'm not an expert in every realm of psychology. So yeah, I'm looking for that same thing.
Excellent. Well, Dr. Karin, as always, you're a valuable resource, and certainly Strick and I, we can guess and throw darts at these things, but to get confirmation from you that we actually are kind of know what we're almost talking about, it's very good. Thanks for being a part of the show again.
Hey, you bet. Anytime.
All right, Dr. Karin, talk to you soon.
Okay, sounds
Thanks,
good.
Dr. Karin.
Hey, Strick.
Yes. Yeah, so are we going to get to like one of the 3,700 other topics you sent now?
Well, I did promise Laura that she would be able to have an opportunity to come on the show. So, should we get her on the show? We only have 15 minutes or a 15-minute window right now to have her on. So we could either get to one of the topics, that we were going to talk about and just tell her that we'll have to have her on the show next week, or
we got 3 episodes to record tonight. I mean, we're going to have 2 nice girls on one episode. I don't know if we can handle all that.
I think that'd be kind of cool.
Okay, well, let's try it then.
All right, let me see if I can add. Hold on a second. Let's see what's her name?
Laura Cannon.
Yeah, there we go.
Laura C. Cannon.
All right. I don't know how well technology works for me today, but let's find out if Laura
with your Apple products, by the way. Yeah. Well, I shouldn't be making fun. I mean, we have most of our listeners on Overcast, which means they have Apple products. And of course, almost everybody that you ask the question to, with a few exceptions, has said that they do have an iPhone. So I am the oddball out. I don't think Laura has an iPhone though either.
I'm on my iPhone right now.
Oh, God damn it, Laura. You're supposed to lie for me and say, no, I love my droid.
She was listening in. I think she's even got one of like the 6, and she's got the biggie, don't you, Laura?
I do.
She does.
I'm an iPhone junkie, honestly.
No, it's okay to be an iPhone junkie. Now, are all of your products Apple products, Laura?
No, actually not. I just can't get into the whole like MacBook thing, mostly because I don't want to spend the money.
I get that. But I did spend the money. So, I spend so much time literally sitting in front of this screen that I want the blue light that reflects off of it to be healthy blue light. Laura, I don't even remember what we were going to talk to you about. My head is spinning.
I don't either. I really don't.
Oh, this is perfect. So we're all in the same place together. We were trying to make a case for technology, how much it has changed like everybody's life in the last couple of years. And we were talking about Uber and have you ever stayed in an Airbnb?
Have I stayed in an Airbnb? I have not, but I have a lot of people now that are doing elopements for weddings, and instead of renting a venue, they're renting out Airbnb houses. They're like these big mansions, and then not telling the people whose house that they're renting that they're actually going to bring in a catering crew and do like an entire party. So I have shown up now at 3 weddings that were Airbnb locations at these like gorgeous places on the water where they're
they rented the entire house.
Yeah. And so, I think it's great. I just haven't used it yet.
Well, why don't we do this? Strick, are you okay if I just go off topic here?
I didn't know we had a topic in the first place, so it's totally fine.
So the question, we got a whole bunch of nice guy community posts on Facebook over the last couple of weeks since we've been asking for them, and I think this might be one that would be right up Laura's street. So Laura, you want to take a shot at answering this if I just read you the question, and then we have not. Now, when would we ever prepare anything for this show?
So when I'm like, duh, now you'll know why. I have not pre-heard this question,
okay.
But yes,
I think this will be good for you, though. I think you'll know this one. Strick, you can feel free to chime in also if you think that Laura is stumbling on the answer. I doubt she will. All right. So hi, Doug. Was wondering if you guys could chat about the topic of change and change management and how managers and employees should handle that. So, with the potential of like layoffs and people just losing their job because of all of the change that's going on, how should people really react within their organization? I mean, it can't be panic. I mean, what's your advice to people that are going through all of this change in their organizations?
Okay, that I can do. So that's like an entire part of my book is an entire chapter about the importance of really sitting with and practicing impermanence. Because, it's like when organizations have these changes, we respond like with this anxiety and we never saw it coming. And really, we should all be expecting that that's the nature of things. I mean, everything changes, seasons change, the day changes into night. That's the nature of things. And we start to believe that things are just going to always be as they are because we don't keep this idea of impermanence kind of in our minds.
That's how my mom is whenever she sees a change in the computer. Like she's like, they changed like the website. I'm like, of course they changed the website, Mom. They're improving it. It's like they're making it better for you. And she's like, gets all freaked out when they've just changed where you put your username and passcode.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look at how people react. I mean, Facebook hasn't done too many changes, but there was recently, but there was a period of time where Facebook was making all of these changes and people would be outraged. Like, how could they change the way my news feed looks? And right. It's like, that's just the nature. That's the nature of how things are. So I encourage everybody to really, as kind of part of their daily practice, to remind themselves that that's how things are. So that when they happen, you can really just know that this is not something unnatural or bad, and to really be mindful of your own reactions. So, if you're in a company or you're in an organization where all of a sudden this change is coming down from the top, change you didn't expect, watch what's happening for you. Are you getting anxious? Are you getting pissed off? And then really kind of just, check yourself, like in the grand scheme of things, why did you expect it to be permanent? Well,
there's always a difference between, I know that's how I should react, but I mean, the reality of it is I fucking freak out. It's like, I just don't know what, somebody says something and I misconstrue it and I'm like, oh shit, I'm getting laid off or they're going to put that extra work on me and I'm not going to get any more money. I mean, the reality of it is people just don't know how to react.
In general, yeah, I think, or that people do know how to react, but they don't know how to not react. In other words, when those things are happening, instead of having these knee-jerk reactions where we start to tell ourselves a million stories, to really use that moment to just kind of get really curious. So that's what I say, that's the actual practical advice of what do you do is when those things happen and you catch yourself, you have to just start being more mindfully aware of kind of your own internal landscape. So if you catch yourself saying things like, "Oh my gosh, I'm going to be fired. This clearly means the end for me." Just be aware that you're doing that. And that's really that's how you start to end that process of it continually talking about these stories to yourself that may or may not be true, is you have to first bring awareness. You have to first see that you're doing it. And Doug, I know you've been meditating. Mm-hmm. So, you get that thoughts are still going to come, Yeah. My guess is you're not having, large spans of time when you're not thinking, that still happens. Right. But it's really about seeing and observing that that's happening. And over time, have you already started to notice that your mind starts to get stiller faster?
Yeah, I find that although that initial, it's really hard to correct that fight or flight feeling that you initially get. Mm-hmm, but then you just start to get in a different, I think it's taught me patience, a lot more patience, and understanding that these things that are going through my head, these are just thoughts. And that is not what's making that the thoughts don't make me. It's me makes me. It's like that. If I can just separate myself from that fight or flight feeling just for a moment. And sometimes you just need a little space. It's not like you need 3 days of space. Sometimes literally 20 seconds of just getting out of that moment and getting back into your head is oftentimes all you need. Strick, you're the only one of the three of us right now that actually has that real job feel. Is there a lot of anxiety? You know what I mean when I say real job? I wasn't insulting you, Laura. You know that, right?
Yes, I totally gotcha.
You know what I mean? Yeah, over the last year or so, we've had a number of layoffs at my job. We had one big chunk, like basically they had overhired, expecting a couple of great big sales, and they had to cut a bunch of people. But then in the last 6 months or so, there's been a number of people that have been let go, and it's mostly, I think, for good reason. It's underperformers. We talked about this, I think, last week on the episode, that a lot of companies are afraid to cut people who are not great performers because, they've been here forever. It's just easier to let them stick around, whatever. Well, my company has definitely taken on the philosophy of, no, that's bullshit. We're getting rid of these people. And so, are there people that are afraid about that? Yeah. I mean, I'm not, because I think I'm pretty valuable to the team, but it is about self-awareness, because we did have a guy like last week where somebody was afraid that he was going to he'd been around for a while, but he just was an underperformer, and he was very surprised that he got cut. And, it is about self-awareness. And I think, Doug, we've talked to a lot of marketers also. And how many times have you heard these marketing guys, when they're talking about small business, say, companies used to do X, Y, and Z, and that just doesn't work anymore. And it's so true. What you used to do that used to work, you can't assume it's going to work forever.
Yeah, there's got to be some level of change in it. And I think you hit it right on the head, Laura. You said you have to expect it. If you don't, it's almost like you're getting ready. If you get ready for it without being a worrier, if you worry through it, that's really crappy. But because that's not going to help anybody, that's going to work. You're going to worry about something you have no control over. But if you understand that change is a coming,
you learn how to train in that. You're never going to be able to predict what the nature of the change is, especially with how technology is moving. There's just no way to predict that. So how do you train to be able to manage that better? You train in knowing that reality. Okay, things are impermanent. You remind yourself of this every day. This is there's a section of Tibetan Buddhism that this is they have 7 mind trainings, and how do you train the mind? And the first one is training it in impermanence. If you want to suffer less in your life, you have to train in really recognizing that things are going to change. Don't freak out because this is natural.
Right. Well, that was a good question by it was from Marco, England. I don't know. I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know if it's is that Mar? Is that Mar? Did Mar say that?
So that was a question from a listener.
Yeah, that was from Mar. I think Marco, I believe that's Mar. So
I love that.
So thank you, Laura. I appreciate you. Yeah. We appreciate you doing you taking time out of your schedule to hop on the line with us.
Always a pleasure to talk to you both.
I think you have a family to attend to now, right?
I do. The whole nighttime routine. I can't even begin to go into that. But the listeners with kids, there's like a whole thing. There's the bath, there's the story, there's the song, there's the stalling.
The stalling. Yeah, that's true. The stalling tactic is a part of it all.
Oh my gosh. So yes, I'm going to head and do that now.
All right, excellent. Well, thanks, Laura, for being a part of tonight's show.
All right, guys, take care.
Thanks, Laura. Bye.
If I had to go back now, did your kids have any like bedtime routines when you were,
sure, when they were young? Oh, absolutely, yes. I don't remember them all because I've blocked it out because it was so traumatic that I had to do it 3 times over and didn't get any sleep at all. But
how do you handle that times 3? Because if Nice Guy Community, if you're just tuning in for the first time, first of all, this is all we got. Doesn't get any better than that. I mean, we are giving you all guns tonight. But I forget where I was going.
How do I deal with 3?
Yeah.
I don't remember. I blocked it out. Honestly, I know that it happened, but I was getting no sleep at the time, because I was just dealing with triplets. I have 16-year-old daughters who are triplets, and it was crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, it had to get out of control and probably lead you to start your drinking.
Yeah, it's a good idea. I could use a drink right now, actually.
Hey, when you were in college?
Now that they're 16, I'm drinking for different reasons.
When you were in college, that's right. Did you play any drinking games? You remember any drinking games?
I didn't play that many, actually.
There was no beer pong.
There's no beer pong when we were in college now.
I used to play the only game Quarters. That's exactly the one I was going to say.
Yeah, or Flip Cup is now. Again, I never played Flip Cup in college, but I've played Flip Cup since then. Yeah.
Do you think that that the students in college now, because I think the national drinking, I don't know if there's a national drinking age, but the age of drink is 21 all over the country, isn't it?
No, I think there are a few places that it's 18, but most places I think it's 21.
Oh my gosh. Can you imagine? Your girls are 18. 16. Can you imagine them drinking?
Yeah, of course. Come on. I'm sure they've been out there at parties and drinking. Absolutely. It is what it is. It's going to happen. Come on. Like you're telling me you waited until you were legal drinking age till you had a drink. Come on, Doug.
Well, I didn't wait till I was legal drinking age, but legal drinking age when I was 18 was actually the legal drinking age just turned to 21. So at halfway through the year, half of my friends, because they made the cutoff date July 1st, so it was actually June 30th. So everybody that was born before June 30th in my year could drink. So some of my friends turned 18 before I turned 18. I was a December kid. And half of my friends could drink from 18 to 21 because I had to grandfather it in at some point. Mm-hmm. I had to wait 3 years while my friends could drink.
No, I know. I was in the same boat. So, yeah, Doug, we're now 38 minutes into the podcast. And since we've gone completely off of the business track, maybe it's a good time to wrap up and get to the rest of your topics tomorrow.
Oh, I didn't get to one of them. I didn't get to one of them straight.
Well, I guess we better save them up and not have guests tomorrow night then, huh?
Oh, okay.
On tomorrow's episode.
No, on tomorrow's episodes, I promised Stacy Sherman that she's like the queen of rock and roll. We want to get her on the show.
Oh, well, you shouldn't have had so many topics.
Okay.
You promised less than 40 minutes.
I'm going to tighten it up for the next show. I'm going to stick with my top. That's not going to happen.
You're right. I have to believe that when I say it.
That's totally not going to happen. Okay. Well, let's wrap up here. And we'll figure out what to do next. At tomorrow's show, we're going to have Stacy Sherman, and then on that's Wednesday, and on Thursday's show, we are going to have Sunny Lake. So how cool is that? So it was it's
four women in 1 week.
I know.
I don't think we can handle that.
That was in my best college years. That wasn't even a possibility.
No.
So, Nice Guy Community, never underestimate the power of nice. Strickland Bonner, excellent to hang out with you again. Steve O'Brien, go ahead and take us out of here.
Call 4242 DJ Doug and record an intro for the show to hear on a future episode. Say anything you want. Hell, take my job. I'm getting sick of these guys anyway. We still rolling? Psst, don't tell them I said that.